Oh my goodness. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here with the community on a Wednesday, May 31st, 2023. I'm so excited for today's content because, we cover so many different strategies about how to build your business, how to build it fast with energy. And one of the things that I know comes up a lot is like aggressive lead gen strategies, this, that, and the other. And one of the things that we're talking about today is volunteerism and community service as a way to build your business, but wait for it, ... all caps, fast. How do you like them apples, right? That's pretty crazy. And I don't know if I believed it was true. I didn't do it myself, but it's meaningful to me. And what's amazing, by the way, there's a reason we got a heart in the middle of this bad boy. And so what's amazing to me is one of our core leaders here inside the community, Mariah Dietz, has been doing this and has built a very successful real estate business focusing entirely on volunteerism, service, giving back in her, wait for it, community. So I think that's awesome. And I just got to say, I'm really excited. Luna, thanks so much for being here today. Really, really excited for everybody to hear your thoughts about how this has worked for you.
Yeah, of course. I'm super excited to be here and to see familiar faces, because let's be honest, this is the biggest training I've personally done. And so awesome. Seeing those familiar faces within our community is definitely helpful. And the best part about this is we're going to hit global, right? We're going to hit our global communities. I'm here in Oregon, and it's not just Oregon that I can make an impact. With EXP, we have iHeart EXP Day, and we go global with it. And so I'm really excited to connect and collaborate with so many agents across the world.
That's awesome. Well, listen, let's go ahead and jump right in. And I know you've got some slides. You've really got some talking points for today in terms of how other people can do what you've done. Because I'm sure people are trying to think, okay, so you've gone out there, you did service, you did volunteerism. How did that lead to a bunch of business? Did you just pester everybody and poke them in the head while you're, hey, at a food line or something? And I know that's not the case, but you're like, actually, maybe a little. And so I think turning something that's cool into an actual implementable strategy is, I think, where people want to focus their business. So walk us through, what's that look like for you? Or for that matter, where do you want to start? I should just hand it off here because I know you've got some stuff you want to chat through.
Yeah, of course, you guys. Now, the first thing is I do chat a lot. I'm so passionate about real estate and helping people. And so if there's any time you have a question, feel free to drop it in the comments. I may not be able to see the comments, but Jeff, I know you can, and you could jump right in and let me know who's asking and what the question is, and I'll do my best to answer. Let me go ahead and share my screen and let's get started, you guys.
Woo!
Woohoo! Okay, perfect. I hope everybody can see that.
We can see it great.
Perfect. Okay, you guys. So today is all about how to build your business by serving your community. There's so many different ways we can do this. And so today, what we're going to be going over today, and just a little shout out to Gracie. She's the one right next to me. This was her first year in doing real estate, and we were doing iHeart EXP Day. So today I want to kind of start off with introducing who I am, to give you a little background of why I serve my community and why I got into real estate. Another thing is we're talking about community outreach. How can you serve your community and the benefits of community outreach and how to reach your full potential? Because let's face it, a lot of us are here in real estate for production, right? It's our way of living. So I want to help guide you through your full potential. And I'll give you some ways to give back to your community. And I would love to get some engagement, and let's hear ways that you give back as well. And we're going to wrap it up with that Q&A. So before I get started, does anybody have any questions?
It looks like we're good.
Awesome, you guys. Okay, so as you can see, my name's Mariah Dietz. I've been in real estate, gosh, just 3 years now, and I don't want to dive into my real estate career too much. right here, I want to really tell you about me and why I got into it. So I grew up, I'm very open about my background. I grew up in, really difficult childhood in Alaska. I've witnessed domestic abuse. I've been abused. I'd never had a stable home, and we were in and out of women's shelters. So when I finally came down to Oregon, when I was about 14 and a half, 15 years old, I moved in with my aunt and my uncle, and they provided my first stable home. And we were going around seeing different houses. And finally, I asked them, I go, what are we doing? All these homes are vacant. Like, are we looking to move into this house? How long are we going to be in this house? Because my mentality was like, nothing is going to last. And then I asked, who is this random person following us around? And he was talking, like, who are they? And so finally, my aunt and my uncle, they said, well, that's a real estate agent, and we're buying a house. You're moving in with us. We need something bigger. And I'm like, wait, so somebody follows us around and shows us homes, and they're a real estate agent? What is that about? And so I started to do some research. Now, education, I'm sure there's many of you who can relate to this, but school was my safe zone. That's where I was able to go and have food. That's where I was able to just be safe and feel comfortable and be stable. And my teachers have always made a huge impact in my life. So I started to dive into, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could help other families have stable homes. I could help young adults have their very own home if they grew up in a difficult childhood. And so that's when I really learned and decided I wanted to get into real estate. But because education was so important to me, I decided to just take a different route. And I finished my college. I got degrees in hospitality event management. I studied business management and psychology for about 6 years. And so once I finished all of that, I became a real estate agent. I was actually 2 months postpartum. I just recently got a divorce, and I was always a stay-at-home mom. And I said, you know what? This is my opportunity. This is my time to shine. This is my time to focus on my career and to be able to provide a financial stable home for my kids. By the way, I have 4 amazing kids. My 3-year-old, she's my assistant. She comes everywhere with me. So getting into the community part, my 7-year-old at the time, he's now 15, we started a nonprofit organization called All Children Matter, and we focus on giving back to that foster family community directly with the foster parents. So that's a little background. I just dumped about 35 years on you, but let's get into this. Okay, so I would love to hear what you guys think community outreach is. There's so many ways to give back to your community. But a little breakdown, I have a definition there, but to kind of get more personal with it, community outreach is actually you bringing yourself in front of people. It's you bringing yourself in front of those who are in need. It's your feet on the ground. There's so many ways to give back. We have many nonprofit organizations you can donate to. MVAR here in the Oregon area, we are able to join committees. But that's kind of behind the scenes, right? A lot of those foster families or the homeless who are struggling finding a home or buying food, they don't necessarily see you. But community outreach is getting in front of your audience, and it's actually making an impact because you're passionate about it. Going into this, you have to be passionate. You can't focus on what your needs are. Right? So take your needs away, throw them out the window right now, and focus on your community, on how you can give back and make a difference. The prospects, the leads, your community, they're going to come to you. And the biggest part is be a resource to your community. Always be ready to help. Okay. And so we have, just to kind of keep things simple for today, we only have the 90 minutes. So I wanted to kind of break it down to where I can give you as much information and guidance in that short time frame. But if you have any questions, if you want to pick my brain, always feel free to reach out to me. But the 5 benefits that I put together here for you is number 1, making a difference in your community. My mindset is community over profit. Now, that benefits me because it kind of takes the greed out of real estate. We have such a stigma when it comes to real estate. A lot of times, if a buyer or seller has a negative experience, they think it's because, well, we only want to get paid. Well, that's not always the case. And so my biggest thing is, how can I give back to my community before putting my own profit first? And then by giving back to your community, you're going to start being known in your community as your local realtor, because of course, we like to talk. We always somehow bring up real estate. When you're hosting an event, people are going to ask, oh, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm in real estate. Oh, no, and so you start that natural conversation. I don't go and say, hi, I'm Luna. I'm the host of this event and I'm in real estate. I let it naturally come up. But the more you do community service, the more you're planting that seed, people are going to know, oh, hey, that's Luna. She does real estate and she gives back to your community. That's someone I'm going to want to refer my family to and my friends, because I can trust her because she's already here in the community. And then with coming to doing those events, of course, have a way to build your database, connect with those people, connect with other realtors who are joining forces, be able to connect to other vendors in the industry, lenders, home inspectors. There's so much way you could build your database, but make sure, here's the biggest thing, make sure you enter it into your CRM. Here at eXp, we use KV Core. So just make sure you take those phone numbers, you take those emails, and you put them into your database, or it kind of gets washed out and you forgot you talked to Susan 2 weeks ago and you don't have her phone number. So number 1 advice I could give you by building your database is enter it into a CRM. And then, of course, you want to make sure you're a resource to your neighbors. Once again, your next door neighbor, you can be a resource to them, rather that's helping them mow their lawn, grab their package for them, put it somewhere safe, and then they'll get to know you as well as your realtor. Going back to getting involved with your community and being known in the industry as well as your peers, you're going to get recognized. They're going to see the positive things that you're doing and they're going to nominate you. They're going to call you for help or advice, rather it because they're broken down on the side of the road or they're looking to buy their home. Right here, a little shout out to Takoya. She is one of my first mentees. She's in Alley Pointez downline, and her and I work alongside with PNW Dream Homes, and both her and I have made a difference in our community, and we were nominated for the MVAR Realtor Rising Star of the Year. And it was an amazing experience, and so that's something that Takoya and I were able to share together. Okay, you guys. So before I dive in, kind of shout outs to Morgan from PacRes as well. She does a lot of community service too. So she's the one who's standing by the Kona ice with me. Okay. So getting into how to reach your full potential. Now there's 10 steps and I'm sure there could be 20 steps, but the number 1, make sure, oh, let me go back. Okay, my slides got a little mixed up. Sorry about that, you guys. So I'll end up jumping back. So we want to make sure you have a need in your community. No matter where you are, there's a need. So discover that. Discover where your need is, rather that be large or more local to your neighborhood. Once you have that need, what you want to do is target your audience. By doing that, do some research. Find out, why is it a need in your community? Find out who you can contact to help build your team to spread more word and make an actual difference. Everybody here in Salem is well aware of our homeless community, and we know that's an issue. So find out the difference that you can make. Is it funds? Is it mental health? and connect with professionals in those areas to pick their brain. Once you know your audience, find a solution. What will make a difference with your feet on the ground? Make sure that you're not just donating $50 to the homeless shelter. That is amazing and that's helpful, but you're going to make a bigger impact if you're going down to the homeless shelter and you're bringing coats, you're bringing food, you're bringing bathroom supplies. So kind of think of a bigger step to where you're face to face with your community. I personally work really close with the foster care community. And by doing that, that has really, really helped me connect to so many people in areas where I would never thought I would be. For instance, I directly do an annual toy drive each year. My son started that when he was 7 years old, and he's now 15. And a fun story is we were driving, he was a competitive gymnast. And one day he goes, Mom, I want $4,000. And I'm like, why in the world do you want $4,000? And I'm thinking video games. I'm thinking, the next coolest bike. I'm like, come on, it's October. Christmas is around the corner. Why do you need $4,000? And he goes, well, do you know how you're becoming a foster mom? Well, I kind of learned in school that there's a lot of families who can't give toys to their kids. And, we're really thankful that we're able to have a Christmas because of you and Dad. And so I want to help those kids. I'm like, oh, this is amazing, right? It kind of touched my heart, teared up, because I have this young kid like becoming passionate about something I'm passionate about. And so I'm like, yeah, we could do that. Amazing. I mean, I'm thinking in my head, as parents do, okay, so we'll probably get $100. 50 of that will probably come from my account. And I'm sure we could call grandpa and grandma and ask for the other 50 and find somewhere to give it to. And it took off. And we started October, and by Christmas, I think it was Christmas Eve, we actually raised over $4,000. We had 2 sheds full of donated new toys, new coats. I mean, we had so much. We even had pots and pans. And we helped over 35 foster families. He made it on the news. He started doing odd jobs, and he even negotiated with a t-shirt company to design a t-shirt for All Children Matters, and had the supplies donated. We were able to sell those, and that was the biggest thing. We held a holiday bazaar where we got local vendors to join in, and once again, that was me building my community, right? This is way before real estate, so I was like, these people are amazing. They became a resource to me. And then I connected with these foster families. And like I said, this was he's 15 now, so 8 years ago. And I'm still close friends with these foster families. We went from helping, 35 families to almost 50 families now. And some families have 1 foster kid, some have 5. So we've helped so many kids and made such an impact that each year they come back. Hey, we want to make sure we're on the annual toy drive list. How do we get back on that? Oh, and by the way, my mom's looking to buy a house. Can I connect you with her? Absolutely. Jeff, you and I had a one-on-one. Was it last week, I think? And you asked me, how many transactions have you done? I was like, I don't know. So I was like, maybe 50. I just hit my 3rd year, and I actually looked and I had 61 transactions.
Boom. Yeah. 61 transactions from doing service, guys. That tells you that this is not a joke. This is the real deal, man.
Yeah. And, and I looked, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've even sold almost $22 million worth of real estate. And I'm like, I can't believe it. I've never really looked at my business that way. And I'm like, what the heck, you guys? What am I doing? Why am I not focused on my numbers a little bit more? And I was looking back to all my clients, and I'm like, 90% of that is from me doing community service. I rarely work with my SOI. I'm just now getting past clients coming back to me. I mean, I've been in this for 3 years, so I don't have 10 years worth of clients. I have about 2 years worth of clients. My first year, I did 6 deals. It was COVID. I got licensed April 1st of 2020. So things were a little bit different. I couldn't be face-to-face. I'm such a face-to-face person. I want to shake your hand. I want to feel your energy, where being on a computer screen, that's a little hard. So I utilized my kids. And we would go to the park, and I'm like, you know what? This is sad. And so what I did was I packaged up goodies. Everything was sealed, and we kept our distance, and my kids handed out drinks to other people at the park. And I connected with my first set of clients, and we started talking, and like, oh, this is so hard. It's our kids want to play. Like, are you comfortable with it? Well, I'm comfortable with it. Are you sick? No. And I started talking to this mom, and she's like, well, what do you do? Did you lose your job? And I go, no, I actually just started a new career. And I talked about real estate. She's like, oh my gosh, my parents are looking to buy. And I'm like thinking to myself, okay, so how do I get my first set of clients, right? I'm in this for a few months. I haven't been face-to-face with anybody. I met her parents, amazing, amazing. We saw 5 homes, and we got them under contract. And then once again, I met another set of clients at an open house, and I was advertising my annual toy drive coming up for December, and he picked up my flyer and he asked me about it, and we connected. So it didn't come directly from me giving community service to him, but he saw that I cared about my community, and we connected. I think
this is an interesting part, because you and I had the opportunity to talk on this. And by the way, if you guys haven't spent any time with Luna Mariah, she's absolutely incredible, super dynamic. And I know you said, oh, this is like my first presentation at this size. You're doing great. And yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. Give her some love, by the way, in the chat. Let her know she's doing great. So first off, anybody who has scaled their business from 0 to 22 million in the first 2 years deserves some attention, because that's ridiculous. It's awesome. Super huge kudos. And one of the things that got my attention, the reason I was so passionate about having you here and having you share with the community and give back, which I know is something that you've got a heart to do anyway. That kind of goes without saying on this one. But was that you seem to have made this so purposeful. And so I'm curious, like, are you working like 900 hours a week? Like, how are you talking to so many people, right? Like, I think that if I was sitting in the audience, I'd be thinking, yeah, okay, so like you go down and I like volunteer at a thing, and how many people do I need to talk to? And, probably the wrong focus, by the way, which is like, be there to help. But
no, that's also, it's going to pull me right into how to build your team, right?
I love it. I love it. Well, and because I just wanted to say, like, I am assuming that some people out there have that same question. Now, I'm curious, because I just want to put this in the chat for everybody really quickly. If some of you out there on this call currently do some form of community service, hit us with a yes in the chat right now. First off, we'll know you're still here. All right. Casey Lynn says yes. EXP Indie Office says yes. Daniel Ramirez, what's up, buddy? Says yes. Mike Hull, all right, says yes. So we've got, yeah, Lexi Sanchez, yes. Ali Puentes, yes. Desiree, yes. Ben Varney, yes. Taylor Campbell, yes. Takoya, obviously. She didn't say obviously, but yeah. So you guys have done it together, right? Angela Cochran, yes. Steve says yes. And wanting to jump in more. That's great. These are awesome people. I agree in the community, Joanne. So obviously there's a lot of heart for this, Luna. So what do we do next?
So once you found that solution, so once again, with that toy drive, it was connecting with those foster families directly, right? It's saying, okay, what are your needs? Tell me how many kids you have, and include your bio kids, right? Because we're not going to leave them out. So tell me what their needs are. What are their sizes? What can they benefit, and what are their wants? And I never overpromised. I said, I will do my best to make that happen. The next step was to build my team. And as you could see, I have a couple of my team. I have Michael Herman. He is a home inspector, and we started our careers at the same time. Look at my COVID hair, by the way. No, he's with Win Home Inspections. And
by the way, Luna, I think I accidentally killed your screen share. So you'll have to fix that. Yeah.
Okay. How do I do that? Oh, and come back here. Da-da-da. Okay, how does that look?
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So, I started advertising my annual toy drive, and I was brand new in real estate. COVID was going on. I was like, how can I reach so many people without being able to be directly in face with them? So Michael had seen it. He reached out to me and he's like, hey, I'm a teacher at North Salem High School. I'm just getting into home inspections. I would love to help support your annual toy drive. What do we do? How can we partner up? So him and I partnered up. He ended up raising over $300 to help go towards my annual toy drive for 2020. And we built an amazing relationship over the last couple of years. And once again, if he knows a foster family who needs help, or if I have a cause going on, he is one of the first people to step up. And here's the thing, he has a complete different network than I do. Complete different SOI. He's out in the state and area. He's connected to a lot more agents than I'm connected to in the state and area, or he does, I think, the Portland area as well. And so he's one of my main resources, and he's a home inspector. So sometimes if I need to get something in for my clients, I reach out to him and he takes care of me. The other couple that I have next to me by the Christmas tree, that is CW Construction. They are local contractors here in our Salem area, and they brought in over $400 worth of toys. And once again, they get in front of homeowners before I do sometimes, right? A homeowner calls them up and says, hey, I think I need my roof done, or hey, I want to remodel my kitchen. I'm thinking about selling my house. And guess who they're referring them to? Oh, do you have an agent? No, we don't. Well, here's a business card to Luna. She's absolutely amazing. And so they helped spread the word. They were posting on their social media. They were connecting with their SOI and their clients saying, hey, you guys, we're taking part in this annual toy drive for foster care. Can you help us? Me alone, I cannot touch hundreds and hundreds of people. But by building my team and utilizing my kids down below, I cut out their faces, but I involve them a lot. And with Kona Ice is an amazing other team member I have. But by involving other people from different industries and from your community, that's going to spread the word. Word of mouth is the biggest tool that we have. Once you have that team of yours and you can rely on them, you're going to create your goal and your plan. How are you going to execute your goals? Without a goal, it's just an endless possibility and things kind of go haywire. So write down your goal, right? For my son and I, we said $4,000. We wrote that down. Okay, how are we going to make that happen? And we created a plan. Once you have your plan, you're going to execute it. And then bring awareness to your community. By bringing awareness to your community, you're going to have your team spreading the word, right? I use PacRez quite a bit, and she also spreads the word. She helps financially as well. We rented the Kona Ice last summer, and we invited my community and gave everybody Kona Ice. I was new. I just bought a house in that. And so I was able to connect with them and say, hey, you guys, I'm here as a resource if you need me. Ask for help. Call your friends. Call your family members, call past and current clients and say, hey, you guys, I'm having this fundraiser. I would love for you to come in. I'm having to pass out 35 gift bags to families. Can you come and help pass those out for me? Can you come and help me organize all of the toys? Because that's a lot of work. If there's another natural disaster, pick it up. I helped out with the fires back in, I think, 2022. I mean, there's a lot going on in 2020, you guys. And so sometimes things can't be planned, for long term. You're going to jump in. So ask for help. And one of the other big things is stay committed. It's not going to look good if you say, hey, I'm doing this fundraiser and you don't show up. You don't follow through. You advertise it, you get some names and numbers, you get some donations made to you, and then you don't follow through. That's going to look bad. So stay committed. If you're someone who knows you have a full plate, make it a small opportunity for your community. It doesn't have to be big and outrageous. Host community events. Sponsor community events. You could see Allie Pointes. I think, are you in this picture, Allie? Maybe not, but this was at the Boys and Girls Brew Fest. The Pointes group hosted it. I jumped in and I helped. I love working closely with Allie too. She's someone I really look up to. And by hosting those community events, you're going to be, in front of a lot of people. You're going to be able to connect to them on a personal level and exchange contact information. Once again, build that database. And the biggest advice I could give, biggest, you guys, is follow up. I would say, how many of you struggle? Let's see in the comments, how many of you struggle with your follow-up, with your real estate transactions, with past clients? Because that is something that I'm aware of that a lot of agents struggle with. Sometimes I struggle with it.
Let's see it in the comments. If you struggle with follow-up, or that it's an area where you need improvement, let's put it that way. Just hit us with a yes down there in the comments. Desiree says yes. These are coming in quick. Allie says yes. Taylor Campbell says, people say get annoyed with me saying follow-up. Casey Lynn says, absolutely. Joanne, me. Takoya, hands up. Joe Yates says, yep. Chad says, yep. So clearly a lot of people where we know that this is an opportunity zone in our business.
Exactly. And here's what I do is I'm such a I do papers. Look at all my notes, right? Even if I don't use them, because I'm not using them, but even if I don't use them, if I write it down, that's going to plant in my brain better. I'm someone who's, I'm audio, I'm visual, and I'm sensory. And so by writing it down, it's going to stick with me better. So I have an old school book where I write all my contacts in it. If I come across them or I put their information, then I take that and I put it into an Excel sheet. I'm someone that my team with PNW Dream Homes, we are trying to implement KV Core better because you guys, that is amazing resource. It's simple, but don't get behind on your follow-up. When you get home from hosting a community event where people are signing up for more information, go into your KV Core, enter their data, and then you could set them up on an automatic drip about your fundraiser or about your upcoming community events, and it's done for you. So find something that works for you. Stay committed to that follow-up because that's what's going to bring you business. I could host all of these events. I could be in front of all of these people in my community, but if I don't follow up with them, I'm not going to generate business. And let's face it, as passionate as I am about community service, I'm also running a business. And it's how I support my family. It's how I've been able to make an impact on this industry. And so follow up. If you need help with follow-up tips, I know the community, jump into the community, ask us for help, and we can help you come up with something. So, okay. Okay, I would love, and now I saw a lot of yeses in those comments about ways that you have gave community service. So drop in those comments of how you've done it. Here are some of the ways that you can help your community. I do an annual toy drive for foster families. Crisis response, so natural disaster. Back in 2020, Oregon had terrifying fires close to Salem. And as you could see, I jumped into action. This is somewhere I also have gotten quite a bit of deals from too, but I jumped into action. I asked for help. I reached out to my team and said, hey, you guys, what can we do to help these families? They just lost homes. There's deaths. It was the most terrifying thing that I've even experienced as a mom, because I thought to myself, oh my gosh, if it wasn't for COVID, my son would have been up there camping for his 5th grade outdoor school. And because of COVID, he wasn't there. And it kind of made me think, oh my gosh, like how many people were up there camping? We have friends in the Mill City area who lost their home, and it was the most devastating thing. And so I jumped into action and we were able to ask our community. Then I reached out to the community and said, who's collecting donations? Because I have a lot of it. I had got 3 truckloads of donations after I gave things directly to families who were needed. So I had tons of leftover. And so we were able to donate it to bigger services who are helping the families in need. I jumped down to our Oregon State Fair and I sat down with people who were crying, who lost a family member or lost their forever home. And I listened. I actively listened to them. I engaged with them and I let them know, I am here. Here's my business card. I'm not trying to get real estate from you. I know you just lost your home, but if you need anything, you call me and I will connect you to the sources that you need. I will be the resource to the source. And I started to get phone calls. And then the following summer, I got a phone call from a woman who was saying, hey, is this Luna? Were you at the state fairgrounds? And I was like, well, like for the state fair? She's like, no, for during the fires. And I'm like, oh, yeah, actually I was. I can't believe we're almost coming up to a year on that. She goes, well, you made such an impact on my mom, Beverly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I remember her. Her husband was passing away. And they just lost their home and they had to quickly get out. And she struggled because her husband was in hospice. And I'm like, that's devastating, And she's like, well, we lost him and they had to buy a manufactured home in a park. My mom wants out of it. She can't take care of herself. And I said, let's do it. And this home was listed for $15,000, you guys. Not a big commission at all, right? And trust me, I don't know if you've done manufactured in parks, but they are a lot of work. And I connected, and the next day we were under contract. Shout out to Takoya. She brought me the buyer. But we got it sold. And it was such an impact. And I remember that seeing this woman who lost her husband and who lost her beautiful home was having to move out of a small, it's like not even 500 square feet home to go live with her daughter. And Takoya afterwards, because she couldn't clean it, we didn't want to hand keys over to another, to the buyer in the condition it was in. So Takoya and I cleaned it. And I don't know if Takoya could drop a comment, but this girl, she was, I don't know, I think 8 months pregnant, something crazy, down there cleaning. And I was outside gagging. I felt horrible, but it was hot outside and I'm just not the best when it comes to cleaning messes. But, shout out to Takoya, because that's another way we could give back to our community, right? Is helping our clients. If they can't find a mover, then let's be the resource, right? Let's get them a mover. If they can't clean up for the new buyers to come in, let's grab a broom. Let's grab some cleaning supplies. Let's help with this. And that made a huge difference. And then guess what? A year later, daughter calls me up. Hey, Luna, you did such an amazing job with mom. Can you list my home? And I want to buy 2 properties now because I own my home outright. We're going to sell it for $450. So just by me being there in person, on ground, connecting with people who just went through something so devastating, I ended up getting 4 deals brought to me, and hopefully, and I actually got a couple of referrals from that as well. So that is how you make a difference, not only in your community, but in your business as well.
So Luna, let me stop you there for a second, because this is super fascinating. And I have to think a little bit about the psychology of what's going on here, right? And if anybody wants to go super nerdy, there's a book by the guy, Robert Cialdini. I think he's a doctor of psychology down at Arizona State University. He wrote a book called The 6 Principles of Influence. One of them is reciprocity. And what Luna is doing is maxing out that part of how humans engage. She's not doing it from a position of greed, by the way. It wouldn't work. As it turns out, people can sniff that crap out from about 100 miles away, right? She actually cares about her community, and it's just her passion zone. So she's getting out there. She's choosing to be passionate about something that she is actually passionate about. But you'll notice how she's connected it back to her business. And she said, let my business amplify my good in the community, right? Tell me if I'm wrong here. And what happens as a result, though, is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so people show up, and then they keep showing up and keep showing up. And now they're telling all their friends. Why? Because they want to support somebody that they don't view as greedy or manipulative. They view them as somebody who cares about the community they live in, where they're buying and selling their houses. This is their community, right? And Luna's actually building that. And I just think that's remarkable. Is this something that like when you first started doing this, was it super purposeful? Like, this is how I'm going to build my business? Or was it just like, this is what I'm passionate about, and I hope, if it connects to my business, great.
Yeah, no, it comes through my passion, right? My
Yeah.
childhood. You guys, I've seen so much as a young child. And when I saw the opportunity, I can make a difference. And like, I didn't know anything about how much real estate can make. I didn't see Selling Sunset when I was 15 years old. I went into it like, oh my gosh, I can make a difference. I didn't have a stable home.
Yeah.
And I can make a difference for someone to have a stable home and be that resource. And then once I went to business school, I studied psychology. And when I graduated, I was like, you're doing real estate. You spent all that debt into an education. I go, let me tell you why, right? Hospitality teaches me customer service. It teaches me interpersonal communication that stems from psychology as well. And I'm working with so many different people who may have experienced trauma in their past. They may be divorcing. There's a lot of psychology.
Yeah.
If you had to go to school, let me tell you, psychology is going to benefit you more than the real estate hours that we have to put in here in Oregon. And we have to do 150.
Gosh.
Because I'm learning communication. I'm learning body language and stress cues. And before my clients can even tell me they're stressed out, they're frustrated, guess what? I'm seeing it in their body language. As they're approaching me, I'm like, I just had an experience. I had to jump in on a deal for one of my agents who was struggling. And I said, let's meet them. Let's get in.
Well, we shouldn't do it today, but I think we just figured out your next Core 90 session, because I want to know.
Yeah.
I want to go to that training too, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think, what is that, in August, I think, psychology of real estate. But
well, so so you're reading that, and then what do you do with that information?
So then I'm like, I think quickly. I have to think on my toes because they're approaching me. They're upset. I see it in their they're frustrated. They're doing this. They're frowning. They're walking fast and aggressive. And I'm like, gosh, I'm only 4'10", right? This guy's 6 feet. He's angry. Like, what can I do? Right? I make sure my body language is opened. My arms are not crossed. I'm not frowning. And my arms are down. My hands are facing upwards. And that's what I learned in psychology. And I'm able to talk in a positive tone of voice, upbeat, engage, but then also understand they're frustrated. They're going to take everything on me. And here's the thing, you guys, don't take it personal, right? It's not me that they're angry with. They're angry at the situation. What can I do to help? What solution can I bring to the table? And by the end of that one meeting I just recently had, they walked away happy, smiling. And it just came down to me listening and being open to their situation.
What are some tips that you can give people though, when they're having, so like you go to this event, this terrible catastrophe in Oregon, and you're talking to people who have lost a loved one, or they just lost their house. And, you're obviously able to demonstrate a lot of empathy and a lot of care. What are some tips or strategies that you think people can do or implement to be better active listeners and have a good awareness around how they're coming across in those situations?
I would say, don't be afraid to approach them. Don't be afraid to approach and help. There have been studies where there was a study in New York. Someone was being beat, right? And everybody walked by. They didn't want to get involved. They just said, not my problem. Tunnel vision, right? Don't have that tunnel vision when it comes to helping people. If you have a tunnel vision, you're only going to see what's in front of you. You're not going to see a child who has dirty clothes on. You're not going to see a mom who's struggling in the grocery store, right? It doesn't have to be a major community service event. You could see a mom struggling in the grocery store with her 3-year-old. I've been there, right? Throwing a fit. Engage, be that outsider to engage with that 3-year-old. Make sure you ask permission, right? Like, don't just go pick up a kid, but that might end in a different way. But
that's going to end poorly.
Right? It is. But engage, right? Break up that cycle that they're in. Be a distraction to that 3-year-old who's throwing a tantrum because they didn't get the chocolate that they wanted, or because their boot came off. I mean, I have 4 kids. I've been in a lot through tantrums, and there's been times I had people glare at me, and I'm like, come on, I can't control this, right? There's sensory overload, right? So just help. And then I've had times where people engaged with my kids, and it's like something triggers in the 3-year-old's brain, like, oh, who's this person, right? And they stop thinking about that chocolate they didn't get. That's going to make a huge difference. And then hand your business card to that mom and say, you know what? I have kids too. I have someone her age. Let's set up a play date. I only have my business card on me, right? I do this all the time. And when you brought up in line, right? I do it all the time. I'll strike up conversation with someone. And I said, you know what? I enjoy talking to you. Here's my name. Mom in Starbucks line, right? Sorry, I only have my business card to give you. Here you go. And that makes a difference.
Okay, that literally is $1 million nugget right there, in case anyone didn't catch that. I only have my business card with me that's a genius script. I love that. I will quote you when I put it in my script book.
Done it all the time. I love it. I've gotten clients at the Verizon store, in Starbucks lines. Like, you guys, once again, don't have that tunnel vision, right? Just because you're waiting in line for your coffee doesn't mean you can't open up to the person next to you. And that's my biggest advice when it comes to how do I engage with someone who's going through something stressful. It's just let your guard down. Our fear is what's holding us back. So let your guard down, open up, and listen. There are some great courses through Shemeketa here at community college. There's amazing books about how to actively listen. Some amazing podcasts. I actually came across one. If you guys want to hear it, I could send it to you. But there's engagement listening, and there's active listening, and there's just you listening, not in your head, right? Where you're thinking about what you're going to paint your wall.
Hey, Luna. So Daniel was asking here, he said, can you understand, or can you explain, the, I only have my business card with me. Why is that so effective? What's the kind of intent there, and how does that work?
Yeah, because now I'm not just handing it to my business card because the person's standing behind me, right? That's a little awkward. So when I do that, I made an impact on that individual, even if it's something silly, because, oh my gosh, like, what kind of cat food are you buying for your cat? I'm in the cat aisle. I'm cat babysitting. I don't know what kind of food to buy. What the heck do I do? What do you recommend? Right? And you strike up conversation, and that person's going to remember you, because how many people talk to them at the grocery store in the cat aisle, right? So they'd be like, I would love to connect. I laughed with you. I felt a connection there. I would love to get together again, right? Let's talk over coffee, or and then you hand them that business card, and where are they going to put it? Right? Oh, goes in my purse, right? Or, okay, goes in my wallet, right? And then 6 months down the road, they're going through their purse and they pull out your business card in the same moment that they're needing real estate needs. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is the cat lady. Don't just hand your business card, write a personal note to let them remind you how they got your business card, right? This was the crazy cat lady who doesn't like cats, but it's cat babysitting, right? And has scratches all over her face type of scenario. They're going to remember you, and they're going to want to reach out to you.
That's awesome. Thank you. All right. I think we're not seeing your slides again. This is my quick fingers over here.
No, it's okay. It's helpful too, because then I get to see some faces too. But there's other ways you could do community outreach. Sponsor local sport organizations, your schools. I sponsor a boxing gym in Kaiser, Oregon, and I even got myself in a boxing match. Never again will I ever do that. By the way, I did win. I have a video to prove it. It was a young girl. I think she was like 21. I'm almost 35. She had about 10 inches on me. But the fierceness came out in me, and I won. But don't just sponsor something. Like, look at Allie's group, the Pointes group. We sponsored the Boys and Girls Brew Fest, and we went down on the ground and connected with so many people. So if you sponsor something, get involved with that organization. Just don't write a check. Volunteer with your local nonprofit organizations. I volunteer throughout the year. We have an upcoming event. So if you're local to Oregon, specifically to the Salem area, reach out to me. I would love to get some volunteer opportunities for you. We have the Sip and Stroll that is presented by Man Mortgage on June 23rd. There's some early bird pricing going on, but that helps Garton Services, who give a lot of support to those with disabilities within our communities. So that's one event. And once again, we're on the committee for that, and we're going to be there in person. So if you want some volunteer options, reach out to me, let me know, and I could get you connected for that. Another one is, Boys and Girls Club. There's a lot of ways you could get connected with them, but get involved with a nonprofit organization and be there in person, because that's what's really going to make a difference. And then also, you guys are with EXP. And if you're not with EXP, talk to us, because EXP is huge about giving back to our community. We have I Heart EXP, and it's a community day. I know in the past it's been the month of October. Those are ways that us agents globally can put business aside and focus on our community. Back in 2021, my first year with EXP, we did the annual coat drive. And we got involved. And in this picture, we see Gracie and I, plenty of coats. We even had some gift cards donated. Allie really helped with this coat drive, but get involved with I Heart EXP. It's an amazing opportunity once again, for you to put business aside and give back to your community, even if that's the only time of year you can give back. And then final, be a resource. And once again, I'm going to look back in the comments and see what your ways that you've helped with community service. Okay, you guys, Q&A. Let's hear it.
Don't be shy, everybody. This is a great opportunity to really ask some questions about how all of this works. And as everyone's kind of getting their bravery britches on, I will say one thing that I'm really interested in here is, do you happen to have just a rolling tally on like how many different organizations you're actually volunteering or providing service for? Because I lost track along the way. It felt like 40, but I'm like, oh my gosh, you're a firecracker, man. How do you know, or is it just kind of a rough estimate?
I'm involved quite a bit. Once again, there's some amazing ways to give back to your community behind the scenes, right? Get involved with the committees for real estate. You're making a difference for our industry, but people don't see you, right? You could donate to Dornbeckers. When you go through the grocery store, they're going to ask you, do you want $1 to give $1? Those are great ways to give back, but it's not going to make as big as impact if you're getting involved with the nonprofit organizations that you go and volunteer with. Sometimes it's spur of the moment. It's opportunity that brings that comes to me. For instance, the Sip and Stroll. I attended that last year. A couple agents called me up and said, what are you doing right now? And I'm like, oh, not much, just driving. They're like, well, we have some tickets to the Sip and Stroll that we won. We can't go to it. It's in 30 minutes. Do you want to go? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it, right? And I experienced that event, and I got to go to local businesses downtown Salem. I connected to a lot of people there who owned businesses. We talked about what I did. I got business cards. Yeah. And I donated $50, right? I forgot.
Love it.
I donated $50, right? Like, you don't remember that stuff. They ask you, do you want a donation? Yeah, sure. I didn't pay for these tickets. Let me, here's my card information. Well, at the beginning of this year, guess what? I got an email and it said, hey, thank you so much for donating. I'm like, what? Oh, no, I think I got it. It was at 1099 for donations. If you don't, for your taxes, that's what I first got. And I'm like, what is this? Right. And I look and I'm like, okay. And then I get an email. Hey, thank you so much for donating to our Sip and Stroll last year. Here are ways that you could do it again. And I'm like, emailed. And I said, how can I actually get involved? Right. So it's in spur of the moment. What can I do? Well, we're looking for committee members. Oh my God, this is gonna be perfect, right? I have an amazing team. And guess what I did, you guys? I said, hey, do you want me to call last year's sponsors and donators and call them directly? And I'll make all those phone calls. 19 pages of contact. Excel spreadsheet. There's a lot on each page. And I said, PNW will do it. Let's go, you guys. And you know what we did?
So smart.
I said, hey,
so smart.
Yeah, yep. And I said, hey, Saturday morning from 9 to 12, come to Megan's house and we're making phone calls. Whoever shows up, you're going to get these contacts. And guess what? You're going to make it personal and you're going to put them in your database.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
And by the way, eagerly are those organizations willing to hand over their database because they're so overwhelmed with how much there is to do and they want to make a greater impact. So you're providing real service and really that is absolutely incredible. Okay, so Mike Holt has his hand up. I want to get to some of these folks. We've got some hands up here. Hey, Mike, good to see you, bud.
What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me?
You bet.
Awesome. So Luna, again, thanks, man. This is awesome. And it's something that I really do. I have found enjoyment in, right? Like I love helping and I love being involved in the community. I love meeting new people. And the byproduct happens to be the fact that I can gain some business from it, right? That's kind of how I've realized these things work, right? If you look at doing some kind of type of community involvement and your only goal is to meet people, you're more than likely not going to have a great time. You're more than likely not going to get as much business as if you just lead with love. And so I love the fact that you found something that you're passionate about, right? And that was going to be my tidbit to this is don't just get involved to get involved, right? Don't just get involved to be a good person. Find something you're passionate about, right? Like I grew up homeless because of a house fire. And one of the things that I love to do now is find others in a community that might be going through something similar and give back as much as I can. And, and then another thing is football saved my life. My football coaches when I was younger, helped keep me motivated and keep me in school and things of that nature. And now I give back through football coaching as well. Similar people make lots of money to do what I do in the world of coaching. And I do it for free because I love what I do and I love getting to meet those kids and make an impact. So I really love this topic. I think it's huge. Find something you're passionate about. Find something that you really enjoy doing. And then the byproduct is going to be great business that comes afterwards.
Exactly, Mike. And the biggest thing I just took away from what you said is relationships. Right? It's personal experience. You're able to personally relate to someone who's going through something that you have gone through yourself. And it's more genuine, right? If I go, I'm not passionate about football. I did competitive cheer. I cheer during football games. I couldn't tell you squat about football, right? If it's on the TV, I'm like, yeah, sure. Go Cowboys or go Green Bay's. Hint, my maiden name is Lombardi. And there's relation. So, so sometimes I brag about that, but it's relate to those. If you go with something you're passionate about, it could be animals. It can be community service in another country. If you're passionate about it, you're going to love it. And those people are going to be drawn to you and they're going to spread your name.
I love it. All right. So Steve, Super Steve here from Colorado Springs. Steve, what's up, man? It's good to see you.
Great to see all of you every week. I love this. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Luna, talk about the reality of managing that volume of business. First, I'm just amazed that you're 3 years into the business and already you're a pro and setting the standard for all the rest of us. But tell me about the ebb and flow. Like you do a lot of events, you get a lot of business. Do the events drop off? Do you have a large team to help you keep that momentum going? Tell us about some of those dynamics.
So I joined EXP on my 1-year anniversary of being a real estate agent. So April 1st of 2021, Allie, over the times she implanted, right, in my brain. We're planting that seed. Thank you, Allie, so much, by the way. And so one day I called her. I said, Allie, tell me about EXP. Because I'm done. I'm done being underneath someone else's thumb, right? I'm ready to blossom. I'm eager. This is how I'm going to support my family and make a difference. So what do I need to do? So I came to EXP. And after my 6th transaction, someone had said, why are you not mentoring? Because I'm helping all these other agents. Right? People are coming to me from different brokerages asking me questions. And I'm like, I don't really know. And I'm faking it till I make it almost when it comes to helping these other agents. Like, I've only done 6 deals. And someone said, why don't you become a mentor with EXP? And I'm like, oh, awesome, let's do it. And so that's how I met Takoya. And I had another agent. The first mentee I had no idea, never mentored anybody, right? But what I did is I utilized my upline. And I said, Allie, this situation, what can I do? I utilized the workplace and I utilized other agents. And then when I started getting all these mentees, I had at one time more than 5 mentees. I go, how can I help them get their career started? How can I give them the opportunity I wasn't given? And that was mentorship. So I said, hey, you guys, help me with this deal. I'll give you 25%. What that means is you're coming and doing showings with me. You're coming and you're sitting at the home inspection, right? You're asking the inspector questions. You're managing sky slope for me, right? All while I'm getting 10% because they're in the mentorship program and they're getting that hands-on experience. They're joining PNW, which started last summer. We're still individual agents, but we work together as a team. And so I utilized these new agents, right, to kind of pick up the slack. So I could be out there making the money and by doing those activities to help my production grow, which is an amazing. They think, wow, 25% is quite a bit, but they're out there, they're doing the work, a lot of the work. I bring the client, I do the negotiations, they shadow me, and it's a win-win situation. So that's how I was able to really increase my production, was utilizing my mentees to do that. Now, because I haven't really mentored anybody new, I have a couple mentees still on PNW, but we have that support from a team. I'm getting involved with having a transaction coordinator I'm training, but I'm such a control person. And it's time management, right? Like, I don't know if you've been through the EXP mentorship program. If you have, raise your hand, drop a comment, do a smiley face, because it really does help you learn time management. They have a calendar. And so that's the biggest key, is time management. And I'm in real estate 100%.
I love that. It's really incredible. Steve, does that get your answer?
Yes.
Awesome,
I
man.
have looked at the mentorship program, considering adding that to the list of things to do.
Well, it's an interesting point, though, that Luna Mariah brings up here, which is that, there's the concept of learning something, and then there's the concept of doing something. But I think true mastery a lot of times really starts to occur when you're also teaching it, because you start holding yourself accountable at a much higher level. Has anybody ever taught something to someone else, and in the process you're like, dang, man, I need to work on this? It's crazy, right? Because most of what you're thinking about is yourself. You have a lot of self-awareness in those moments, but that's positive. That's a great moment for everyone involved. And as Luna called it, it's a win-win, right? It's a win for the person receiving the mentorship, because you're always a chapter ahead of them, right? That's great. And also it's a win for you, because you're going to have to stay a chapter ahead of them. And so it's pushing you even further. This is why I really love what's happening here in the community with everybody sharing, but also just this idea of plugging into the mentor program. And by the way, the company needs qualified mentors. And if you're looking for a great way to also provide service while building your organization, that's a great option. Right.
And guess what? You're going to get them to be successful. They're going to have those experiences. They're going to be sharing on their social media. Hey, I just closed my first deal. Hey, I just closed my 5th deal within 6 months. A lot of my mentees have closed multiple deals their first 6 months. Yes, they're on my transactions, but that's still their deal. They're still getting a hands-on experience.
Love it.
And they're in my downline. So guess what that means? Even though they're getting 25% of my commission, they're still paying their split with the XP. I'm still getting rev share. And then they're closing deals their first year, which is building my rev share. So it really is a win-win by me being open to teach my strategies and be there and help, even when they're out of the mentorship program. It's benefiting me.
Yeah, super smart. And what I love about that is you're looking for synergy. And so for anyone who isn't, necessarily familiar with that term, synergy is partly the way I mean it, at least here, is when you can do one thing and achieve multiple results simultaneously, right? A single effort. Volunteering, right? Wonderful for your soul, amazingly personally gratifying, part of Luna's passion zone. But simultaneously, while she's there, she understands if I just do one additional step while I'm there, it could also be beneficial for my business, which means I become more financially empowered. The more financially empowered I am, can I give back more to my community if I have more? Yeah, those with more can give more. That's how it works. So who wouldn't want someone like that to have even more so that they can continue to give? And it's a positivity loop, as Lexi always calls it. So I love that. That's really terrific. Any other questions from people? I think I saw another hand up just a minute ago. Not at the moment. Oh, there's Mike.
Sorry, that was my hand. I could always talk, man. And I look like crap again today because I'm always doing something. I apologize.
I love it.
What I was going to say is 100%. I taught special education for 13 years. Even lower performing kids with different abilities or disabilities, they learn 100% better by teaching, right? Like I would always have them come to the board. I was a math teacher. I would have them come to the board, show me their thought process on a math problem, whether they were completely wrong or not. Like we had a rule in our room. Everybody's going to look dumb at some point. Don't laugh at the person that's up at the board because you're next, right? So yeah. I would have them come up and actually teach how they come up with a solution to a problem, right? It might be completely wrong, but we're going to go through why you thought it was right. And I do the same thing with my real estate business or any other business that I'm in. Right. I love to teach people. I love to teach newbies because on every transaction, I learn something new. You know, in my construction business, on every new job site, I learned something new. Everything, even football coaching, I learned something new. So I absolutely love that point. And I think it's a great idea. By the way, I also am now a certified mentor with EXP. I went through the program recently, and I look forward to getting started with that because I think it's a great way to give back, and it's going to help me sharpen my skills.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love
and what
that.
it does to me, it's someone comes to me with a question. I'm like, I've never been through that. But then what do we have to channel into? We have the community, we have the workplace, we have our upline to connect and collaborate. We have the world. So if I don't have a question for a mentee, I'm like, hey, let's go find out, right? Let me get back to you. It's okay if you don't have the answer. It's okay if you don't have the solution right away. But what you're going to do with your client, with your community, with other agents is you're going to be their team. You're going to put them on pause for just a second, and you're going to follow through and go get the answer for them. You're going to problem solve together. And I think that is a huge part in giving back to your community. If you can't problem solve, that's going to hold you back not only in your career, but in your personal life as well. So
I love that. Well, so let's do an exercise for everybody who's on here watching this right now thinking, what do I do? What's something actionable that I can jump into and do right now? And so here's what I want you guys to do. Grab a piece of paper or a pen or whatever you're going to write in, you know, the back of a receipt from Walmart. I don't really care. Just write down somewhere.
Business card.
There you go. Write it on your business card. That's awesome. Alignment. And so write down five places in your local community that you've actually been interested in. Like, I wonder if I could get connected there and maybe give back in some way and make an impact. If you're already doing one or two, that's terrific. Write those down first, right? It doesn't have to be 5 new ones necessarily. Let's not, you know, pull a hammy here. But just stretch yourself a little bit. Come up with 5. See if you can for a second. I'd play music, but it'll all be copyright protected and then I have to cut it out later. So, you know, just imagine the Jeopardy music in the background. But as you're writing this down, think about particularly places that would hit an emotional chord for you. When we were listening to Luna Mariah speak, she was saying, I do things for kids because when I was a kid, X, Y, and Z happened for me. And, you know, I mentioned this previously on one of these calls, but I believe in this. Lexi and I have a song that we listen to. I need to find the name of it. Dang it. That has a line in it that says, be the person that you needed when you were growing up. And guess what Luna's doing? And I love that. right? She's plugging in. She represents a need that she knew that she had that nobody showed up for in the ways that she really needed it. And now it's created this passionate drive back for that. Guess who else does that? Tony Robbins, right? You listen to him speak from stage. He talks about his coming up story, and it was not exactly happy. And so the rest of his life, he decided to leave a positive impact on people. Has that been financially successful? Yeah, he's a multi-billionaire. It seems to be working out okay. Five places where you would plug in. Awesome. Luna just came up with 5. I love it. Of course she did. Anybody else have 5? And if anyone's willing to share, would you type them really quickly now that you've written them down? And I love the idea, by the way, of writing by hand. It's just, it gets lost sometimes these days, and everything becomes ones and zeros in a computer, and then it becomes a little meaningless and gets lost. But do type it into the chat, because I'd love, if you're willing to share at least, be a little bit vulnerable and show us what are some of your ideas that you just came up with. We're not committing you, right? We're not going to circle back around and be like,
I may do some follow-up. I may write your name down.
All right. Luna Mariah's going to do it, man. She's coming at you guys. I love that, right? Don't say it unless you mean it. Where do you think you could give back in your community? Or at least give us one there in the chat. Once you're done writing them down. That's awesome. So I've got Mike saying schools, which I know he's passionate about, former teacher, right? Churches, Habitat for Humanity, sports, already doing that one. He shared, that's amazing. Love that. Who else has some that they'd like to, because this is going to get our brains turning. Sometimes it's challenging initially to become resourceful. It's like 5. Are there even 5 nonprofits? Every single school has a nonprofit, probably multiples that help them to operate.
And can I chime into this about the education?
Please, keep going.
You guys, this is a great opportunity. There's a few agents and some lenders who really want to make this happen. So if you're in a school district, maybe you could reach out to me and let me know how I could get into the schools easier. Reach out to those juniors and seniors. You guys, not only can you come in to career day or connect with those counselors, but provide a service. Say, hey, you're 17, coming up to be 18, 16. You could buy a house as early as 19, 20 years old. Here's how. Get a job when you're 16. Keep that same job when you're 18. Start saving that. You hopefully don't have a lot of expenses as a teenager, but get that job. There's some down payment assistance. This is how you can be financially set when you're this age. Bring a folder. Give that folder to the kid. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to go home. Oh my gosh, Mom, I just met the coolest, teacher, Mike. He was amazing. He's a real estate agent. He also coaches our football team. He just brought me this folder. Look at it. I think I want to get into real estate. College isn't for everybody, right? We could tap into those high schoolers and teach them about, this is what you could do in this industry. This is how you can only go to 150 hours. I just looked up Alabama for someone. It's 60 hours to get your Alabama license. Oregon, we have a lot. It's 150. Alaska's 40 hours. Teach them this. Give them another opportunity to where they could come out of high school. They could start those classes when they're 17, take their test when they're 18, have their high school diploma, and have them join EXP. Be a mentor. Teach them how to be an agent. Here's another thing. They'll bring that folder home. Oh, we want to sell our home. They're in your school. They're teaching you how to be financial. Hi. Hey, Carrie. I want to sell my house. How do I do it? Or how can I provide my kids with a home? That's a great way to tap into the educational system.
I love this. Well, and listen to some of these ideas that have come out of folks on the call right now. And this is just right. We had what, 2 minutes, 3 minutes here. So like we already said, schools, churches, Habitat for Humanity, sports. Jen G says CASA, soup kitchen, homeless shelter, foster care, and Chance. Allie says high school mentorship, future entrepreneurs. Casey Lynn says apartment complexes, education on home ownership, cheerleading associations, tournaments, dog fostering, volunteer work, veterans, their needs, small businesses. Like we've just got people, Steve says small businesses, local parks, trails upkeep, because he's in Colorado. That's awesome. Retreat venues. Like think about how many, and we just went quick here. Like, yeah. Kinsey says local harvest festival, local YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, Heart to Sales, domestic violence shelter, church youth group, parent teacher clubs. The reason I'm reading these is sometimes we hear volunteer and we think one thing, like it's one directional. It doesn't matter what you're interested in. It matters that you're interested in it and that it makes an impact.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing, is making an impact on your community. That's how your name's going to be spread. That's word of mouth right there, is being on ground, being in front of these people. I think it was Floyd. Floyd, I would love to hear from you. You said you think you met me at State Fair. I vaguely remember meeting a couple EXP agents, or I met some other agents as well who are not with EXP. I was at the State Fair. We had a booth and we were advertising our foster family toy drive. And we got a lot of contacts and we got clients from that as well. And I did that, and we made that happen as PNW because we were in front of our community. We were face to face. We were engaging. We were excited. We were educating. And once again, there's great things you could do behind the books, but our industry, it's that personal relationships, that long-term relationship. So being in front of your audience is key.
I love it. Yeah, it's so important. And what my optimism is, and this happens frequently in business conversations, is there's a difference between what's called the hard stuff in business and the soft stuff. And today we're talking about the soft stuff. And there's been a misinterpretation for a long time. Now there's multiple books out that totally disprove all of this, by the way. But there used to be this interpretation that the hard stuff, quant, metrics, drive, hustle, how much you can bench press, whatever, like somehow that those things, what I'll just refer to them as kind of characteristically aggressive traits in business, that those are really what drive results, and customer service and care and empathy and really giving a shit and like the stuff that we're like, well, I'll get to that later once I've made a lot of money. And the funny thing is there's so much research now that shows that people want to do business with organizations that truly care. And you look at companies like Tom's, like why did Tom's do so well, right? They're like, listen, buy a pair of our shoes. We're going to give one to somebody in need. And then you saw like 1 trillion companies come after them that were like, hey, we're doing it too. It worked for them, right? Because they went from like nothing to like $1 billion company overnight. It was so effective and nobody saw that coming. Why was it so effective? Because people are like, oh, because this company has a heart. They're just not driven by profit. And I love your community. What was it? Community over profit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Right. We need to hear more of that. Jason Giles, what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Luna, I want to say thank you. This is, it's powerful. And I had my camera off because I was having a bad hair day, but I had gel delivered from Amazon and I think we're good to go now. So here I am. I want to say thank you. So what this makes me think of is that sometimes I overthink what can I do in my community, and I'm trying to find the right thing and what's perfect and what's not, and really just pick something and do it. Pick something you like. So what this makes me think of is not just schools, but in all our areas we have alternative schools. Schools that kids go to that they're just not doing well in their regular environment. So it doesn't have to be huge. Just go in and what can I do? Can I provide 100 extra pencils this year? Well, whatever it is, just start with something is what I'm getting from you, and just do it. Pick something that you enjoy and do it. Doesn't have to be figure out the whole plan for the next year. This is what we're going to do. Just go in and ask them, what do they need? Do your best to provide it and stay consistent. So thanks for doing this, Luna. It's always powerful to see how we give back and what we can do better. So thank you.
Of course. And you bring up a good point too, is just doing it. A lot of the things I do is spontaneous. Right? It's like I come across someone and I'm like, oh, that sounds fun. Like my boxing, right? I just started doing these once a week. I encountered something and I was like, I need to be able to defend myself once a week. I love fitness. 45-minute class. I would always show up late. And so it's more like a 30-minute class for me. And I started December, I had to take a pause. I had surgery. I had cancer. And so they had to get rid of that. And January, when I started to come back through the organization, because I sponsored them, so I wanted to be in person and be involved. And they had signups. And like, oh, we're going to do some sparring. I thought it was like sparring, like fake, right? You're not really going to hit me. And I'm like, sure, maybe I was still delusional from my meds, but I signed up for it. And I'm like, oh, when is this? They're like, oh, it's next month on February 4th. I'm like, what? Like, I thought I would have like 6 months to prepare for this. I have a month. And they're like, I'm like, okay, so how do you match me with someone? And they're like, we're going to base off your weight, your size. I was 120 pounds, right? 4'10". And everybody's signing up and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, these are like 12-year-olds. right, that are my size. So I have to beat up a 12-year-old? I'm not. Is there a liability form that the parents sign? Do I get excited when I beat them up? Or do I let them win and, you know, take that pride? Well, they weren't going to put me up against a kid. So that's how I got someone who was probably 10 inches taller than I was. And she had about 70 pounds on me. She was strong. I was terrified out of my mind. But what it taught me, and here's the point that I'm bringing that up, right? I went to Build 2022, saw Tony, and I was so inspired. And they said, pick a stage. Doesn't matter what stage you go on, just pick a stage and get on that stage. Help yourself with that confidence, you know? And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to see myself on the Build 22 or EXPCon stage anytime soon. Maybe that's my goal one day. I would love that. So I guess it's a boxing ring. Turns out it was a full-blown tournament, all rounds, longest time of my life. Takes a lot of dedication, a lot of drive, and preparing for it, but spontaneous. So take those opportunities that are right there in front of you, grab them, and do it with passion and do it with care, because that's going to drive your business up. That's going to make you reach your full potential, and it's going to challenge you and get you out of your comfort zone. Don't let fear hold you back.
I love that. Yeah. Such great advice today and so many takeaways. Like I've got a page of notes here. I'm so excited that you shared all of this, because anytime that you see somebody enter the industry and in their first 2 years just go from zero to nuclear, you're going, how in the hell did they do that? And it turns out it's not necessarily because they went on and bought a ton of leads and then dug through all the muck. And yeah, I hear that, man. And this is the beautiful thing is going back to, since you mentioned Tony Robbins, you know, going back to Tony, he says, provide more value than anyone else in the marketplace. Who's providing more value than this, right? Like I lost track of how many places where you're plugged into the community and providing immense value, and people see that and they know how to get in touch with Luna. They know how to reach out and they know that she's in business, and just the combination of those ingredients equals doing a lot of transactions. And that's the amazing part. Thank you so much for being here today and for sharing with everybody. I love it. And by the way, if you guys don't know about the community and what it is that we do, the community is a growth, support, coaching, training, mentorship, online courses, everything you can imagine, building your business faster in the right way, freedom organization at eXp Realty. And if somebody invited you here today, you're a guest, thank you so much for being here. That's exciting. We love that. And reach out to them so you can learn a little bit more about what it is that we do and how we're supporting so many agents at such a high level. Thank you guys for being here today, for being the very, very best part of the community. And as always, it's our honor to support you. Have a great day, everyone.